Okay, so we're just going to do a real quick video tutorial here. Ancient Ways on the Steam forums was asking about the easiest way to swap out ships. There's actually two different ways you can swap out ships in this game. We're going to quickly cover both of them in this video, I hope. One of them involves going to a space station and using the hangar. Where you can actually store an entire ship and then come back later and swap it out. That would seem like it's the more logical way that you would store a ship and then get a new ship and come back later. But honestly, I haven't really found any benefit to doing it that way. It's very expensive and it doesn't really seem to have any bonus. Whereas you can actually just go into any space station or carrier, or I'm not sure about the cities on planets if they have ships or not, but you can just go into the shipyard and you can just swap out the ship that you're currently flying for a different ship. So basically what we wanted to do to cover this, since it was mainly in regards to switching between civilian frames and military frames, I figured I would come over to a war zone and we would do that from there. So here we are, we're in the Evochron war zone. The Evochron war zone is just north of Pearl. It's a tiny little dot right here on your quadrant map. You can get to it from Pearl. There is a jump gate way up here. See this purple dot at the very top of Pearl? Pearl is the starting system for Alliance. If you're in Federation, I haven't played Federation as much. You could go to the Sierra war zone, the Carillion war zone here, or the Taliesin war zone here. So they have quite a few war zones, whereas Alliance, I think, only has the Evochron war zone and the Sirius war zone. But anyways, any of these war zones, regardless which side you're on, go to your appropriate war zones. The war zones, you hit the gate, just like anything else from Pearl. Hop this gate right here at the very top. You'll end up in the Evochron war zone. See? Evochron war zone. And that'll dump you out here, which is, let's see if I can get zoomed in on it. Here we go. That's too fast. Here we go. Okay, so the Evochron war zone is very empty, but the whole point of it is in every war zone you should find one of these. This is a military carrier. It's like a giant capital carrier ship that you can actually dock with, like a space station. There is also a space station here, but the space station just has contracts and equipment and stuff as normal. Pretty much all contracts that come out in a war zone are military contracts. They will count towards your military rank, not your civilian rank. So basically you come here to work on your military rank, and you also can get access to the military ships at the carrier, which is really the whole point of being here. We are going to hop to this station here first, though, because I want to show you the other ship swap option, one that I recommend not using. Unless somebody on the forums knows something better than me, and they can tell you why you would want to use the storage for a ship instead of just swapping a ship every time, I'm really not sure. So basically we got our jump point on the space station here by right-clicking it in our nav map, and then up here on our compass you can see there are blue arrows for your heading. You guys probably already know this, but basically you line up the heading and that will jump you straight into a gate at the space station. So that's what we're going to do real quick, and just get our throttle up here and we'll jump. We're going to go straight into one of the docking on the space station, and we'll show you the hangar. Excuse me. Alright, so check it out. We jumped right into one of the docking bays, and now we are docked. So you can see we're in the space station here. And see, basically they just have your typical commodities, crafting equipment. Then you have your typical equipment hardpoint stuff. This isn't a very high technology system, so there probably isn't a whole lot here. And then there's a whole bunch of secondary equipment. So the ship I'm in right now is the Leviathan. It is one of the higher level civilian frames. Actually, I think it's the highest level on the Alliance side. And basically, so to get to the area that we're talking about, you would have to go into enter the station here. So we're going to enter the station. Alright, so now we're in the station. Here are the two different options. There's the Shipyard, where you can swap out any of your ships for a different ship or reconfigure your current ship. And then there's the hangar. The hangar is primarily for storage of items such as your secondary weapons, primary weapons, extra equipment that you're not using, cargo bay items that you don't want to sell, etc. So let's hop in there real quick.
All civilian spacecraft must yield to
Alright,
capital class ships.
so in the hangar here, you could flip out any of your cargo bays by just clicking the store button here next to the row 1, 2. If I had items in these other slots, they would have store buttons here too. You click the store button, it will flip your cargo over to here. You're going to pay a transaction fee based on what you store, I believe. So you can store a bunch of stuff and then hit exit. You'll be deducted the fee, and your items will be moved into the cargo, the storage, excuse me, on this ship or this space station. So that will remain in this particular space station. If you ever want to get the stuff back, you have to come back to this particular space station. So it's very important that you remember where you stored your stuff. There is an option on the News Information F3 tab where you can click and it will show you in the chat menu whatever you have stored at every space station. So now the other option here is to store your ship. Now this is I don't like this, and I really can't find a reason why this would be beneficial to use over the other option. I'll show you in a second. But basically, if we click this store button here, it's going to take the ship that we currently have, which is a Leviathan, and it's going to store it in the hangar of this particular space station. So just like the cargo, if we ever wanted to get it back, we would have to come back to this particular space station to get it back. Now, the reason I don't like this is because it's very expensive to do this method. And the reason that it's very expensive is because when you can't get out of your ship in this game. So when you store this ship into the hangar here at the space station, you have to leave in another ship. So what the game does to compensate for that is it makes a duplicate of your current ship, whatever it happens to be, which in this case is Leviathan, which is a very expensive ship, multiple millions of dollars. So if we store this ship, we're going to automatically make a duplicate Leviathan with the exact same configuration. You wouldn't even know that you left your original ship. You would feel like you're in the exact same ship. So it's basically more or less just storing a copy of your ship into this hangar bay, and it's going to charge you the full amount of your ship to make a duplicate. So if we do this option, it's going to cost us like $4 million or something like that. And then we'll have technically a second Leviathan. And then you could take that ship that you're in at that point, and you could go somewhere else and you could swap it out. Then when you have a different ship, you could come back here, and when you come in here, this would, instead of saying store, it would say swap. And what you would do, you would click swap, and it would take your current ship, and it would put it in here, and it would take your other ship and pull it out. That's a lot cheaper because you're not actually creating a duplicate of your ship in that situation. You would actually have another ship to leave in. So it would just kind of flip them out, and I think you just pay a transaction fee, and it's nice and cheap at that point. But again, I can't find a reason to do it that way because you're limiting yourself to which space station you can swap out at, and you're paying like $4 million or whatever the cost of your original ship is up front. So I really don't see a reason to do it that way. The other option, I'm going to back out of here. The other option that you can do is the Shipyard. The Shipyard is where you come to actually make a different ship. So down the right-hand side here of the Shipyard, you can see all the ships that are available, and this space station doesn't have them all, so you can see the higher tier ships are all grayed out. But basically, whenever you swap out a ship in a shipyard, you get the full value of your ship back. So unlike the other option with the hangar where you store it, you're going to pay for the duplicate of your ship. Like, look at the cost of my ship here. This ship is worth $5,765,000 and 550 credits. Which we barely have under 10 million. So this is more than half of our money right here. So if we were to store this ship, we would pay 5,765,550 credits to store it because we would have to make an automatic duplicate of it because there's nothing else in the hangar bay at this station already to swap out. So instead of swapping out or storing in the hangar bay, what you do is you come into the shipyard here, and you can take any one of these. Assume that you would go to a space station where all of the options are available up to the Leviathan. See, I bought this in Sapphire where there's a higher technology rating, so they have more ships. But you can take any of these ships on the right here that are available, and you can just left-click it, and you drag it. See that? You drag it into the middle view. let's see. What this is going to do is we're actually selecting the ship that we just clicked and drug. So here's the frame configuration for it. So you would, you know, mess with this and say, okay, I want 7 equipment hard points. I don't want secondary hard points. I want more hull. I want more energy. You know, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And you can see here in the middle view, it has now put our Typhoon was the one I selected here. So basically, what you can see is going on here. Let's stop the spinning. First of all, the stuff attached to it is too high. That's why it says assembly left -175, because I had the highest engines and wings and stuff on my Leviathan, because it can fit the best stuff. So anyways, you would have to adjust your assembly to get it down to what the ship could actually handle, since we're technically downgrading here. But these views get really confusing, and a lot of people kind of miss this, and I think this is really where the confusion comes in. I didn't understand this at first either. But see, what's going on here is that this left column here is what we're trading in. This is the ship that we're getting rid of. And then this right column is the ship that we're taking over. So you can see here that we have too much assembly. That has to be adjusted. In the middle here is like the difference between the left and the right columns. So on the right column here, we can see we're getting less cargo bays, 1 versus 10. We're getting less fuel tanks. We're getting less crew members, less equipment. Basically, everything's less because it's a smaller ship. But the important part here is, look, the value of our Leviathan was 5,765,000. The value of the Typhoon that we're looking to build right now, assuming this assembly was correct, would be 2,134,554. So much less. Now what you can see here is what it's actually going to cost us. This is the money we have right now, almost 10 million total here. If we were to actually swap out our Leviathan for our Typhoon, the total would be negative 3,630,996 credits. So what this means is, since it's a negative number, we're actually going to get this money back. If we actually completed this trade for the Leviathan to the Typhoon, we would get the full value of our Leviathan back into our bank account, minus the cost of our new ship, which is less since it's a smaller Typhoon in this case. So what you would do is, assuming that everything actually lined up, you had your assembly correct, you would come down here and you would click trade and build. And you would actually get 3 million back into your total credit. So we would jump up to almost over 13 million in this case. And then we would have a Typhoon. Our Leviathan would cease to exist. We would just have a Typhoon. So it's not stored anywhere. So our Leviathan is gone at that point. But that's really not a problem, because you could just come back in here and do this again, because now you would have more money. You would have 13-some million. You got your money back. So your money's never lost in this situation. So again, I can't really find a reason to store a ship versus just swapping them out like this. Because when you swap them out, you always get your money back. It doesn't cost you anything to swap out ships. You get the full value. Your ships do not degrade in value over time. So why would I pay $6 million to stash a Leviathan in this particular space station when I could just swap it out for whatever other ships are available at this station, get all of my money back, and only pay for the cost of the new ship? It just doesn't make sense. I don't understand why you would store something. And then we can take that and we could go to any other space station. We're not limited. We wouldn't have to just come back to this space station to swap out. We could just go to any other space station, and other space stations will have better ships. And you could just do this same swap there, where you trade in your ship and get a new one. And the important part here is the templates. If you go in the templates here, you can store, it looks like at least 25 templates. So you could left click on any of the templates. See, I already have some older ones that I saved. Pretty much any time I swapped out one of my ships, I just made a template of that ship. So it's like, if I ever really want to go back to one of those ships I've used, all I have to do is come in here and just select this template, and that frame's not available. Here, we'll look at this. See, I made a Typhoon in the past. So boom, here. See, I click that, and this is the Typhoon design that I made a while ago. All the engines are already on it, the wings are on it, the coil packs, or whatever they're called, the resistor packs, all of my little XYZ scales, custom looks, it's all there. So all you do is you save that as a config, or as a template, and you can just pull it back up later. And again, see, look, the cost is only $2 million for this particular Typhoon, and we're trading in our Leviathan that's almost $6 million. So when we do this trade, which we could click trade and build since everything matches, we would actually get this $3 million, $3.67 million back into our total fundage. It would put us up over $12 million. So there's no cost. This is basically free, because you always get the full value of your ship back. And the only way it would cost you money is if you're buying a bigger ship than what you currently have, and you would just pay the difference. You would trade in your ship, which, let's say we were going the opposite direction. If we were trading the Typhoon in for the Leviathan, we would be getting $2 million for our Typhoon towards the cost of our Leviathan. We would only pay the difference, which would be this. This would be a positive $3,677,000, and that would mean that was going to be deducted out of our account when we make the swap. So again, you're only actually paying for what you trade in and what you take out. You're not paying for the hangar, where you have to actually duplicate your ship, which I can't find any reason to do. There seems to be no benefit to duplicating your ship to store it, where you're going to pay a bunch of money. Now granted, once you've done the duplication with the hangar once, you can come back and you can swap out with a second ship, and it's a lot cheaper at that point. But it just, again, the upfront cost for that first time, and then limiting yourself to one space station where you can do that at, just seems silly when you could just do this instead. So my advice is come into the space station, go into the shipyard, click the template button, save your current design as a template before you make any changes or mess with it at all, and that'll give you the template for the ship that you had. Then mess with it all you want, change its configuration, swap it out for a different frame on the right, do whatever you're going to do, and then just trade and build. You'll pay the difference, or you'll get the difference back into your bank account, and then blam, you'll be in the new ship. Like, here, let's just do it. Screw it. Oh, it has insufficient capacity. Oh, see, okay, since we're downgrading to a smaller ship, it's telling me that we can't fit all of the stuff. See, like, we have less equipment hard points, we have less secondary hard points, less cargo bays. So yeah, this ship on the right can't fit all of my equipment, and it's not going to let us trade and build as a result of that. I thought it would. I thought it would just auto sell the stuff. So I guess we can't do that. We'll have to cancel and exit. But you get the point. If you could fit your stuff over, you would have to go and sell that stuff off first, or put it in a storage bay, and then do this, and you could trade and build. This is because I'm downgrading. In most cases, you're probably going to be upgrading, and the new ship that you have is going to have more space in most cases, so your stuff will flip over just fine. Yeah, and when you do this, that's the whole point. Your main equipment, your secondary weapons, your cargo bay, it'll automatically strip all that stuff out of your original ship, and it'll put it on the new ship if it can. And if it can't, you get an error when you try to trade and build, so you can't really mess that up. Alright, so anyways, I'm babbling. This is going on too long. This is supposed to be sweet and simple. So again, I recommend Shipyard over Hangar. Hangar, the only thing I use it for is when I want to store cargo stuff. And I really use that for, like, crafting materials. When I'm out flying around, I find a bunch of crafting materials at space stations. I have a list on, like, a physical notepad that I keep next to my computer here with the different things that I've been crafting. So I know what I need, which are, like, actually, I do need emitter units. I should probably buy these, but this isn't my primary save file, so it won't really do any good. But I usually, if there's something that I need in a station that I know I could use for crafting, I'll buy that crap up anytime I see it. And then, you know, next time I get back to my main space station that I use to store stuff, or one semi near it, I'll dump that stuff off and I'll put it in the hangar and I'll store that stuff. So that when I come back around to craft later, I'm not flying all over the damn galaxy trying to find the stuff that I need to craft with. I can just hop to a couple space stations where I've stored the stuff, pull it out, go into one of the engineering labs and actually craft that up. That's all I use the hangar for, storing cargo. Or I guess I do occasionally put some equipment in there, you know, things, high-level equipment that I paid millions of dollars for that I don't want to sell, because I'll use it on a different frame configuration or whatever. But even with the equipment, just like with the ships, when you have equipment, you get the full value of it back. See, like the Mantis jump drive, $709,000, that's what I paid for it. The stuff doesn't degrade in value. When you trade it in, you get the full value for it back. So you're never at a risk to buy and sell equipment or secondary weapons. Like these probes, 962 credits, that's what I paid for them. You can put them on your ship and say, hey, I don't need it, and you can resell it later, and you get all your money back. So if you want to mess around with a high-level equipment that costs $3 million and see if it's worth the $3 million, buy it. And if it doesn't work out, go straight back to a different station, sell it. You get all your $3 million back, just like with the ships. So the whole point of this was to show you that. Now let's actually put it into application with the military frames. The military frames are only in the carriers, which are only in war zones. Once you have a military frame, you can go anywhere. You could leave the war zone in your military frame and, you know, go about your business. But the military frames are kind of limited. They're really designed for combat. They don't have cargo bays. You can't custom configuration them. So they're really not the best to kind of, you know, just go out there and do your thing. But you could take one out of here and you could go do combat contracts with it elsewhere. It wouldn't count towards your military rank, but certainly, you know, it's a great combat ship, so you could go take on combat contracts anywhere with it. That's fun. But yeah, otherwise, basically, if you want to get a military combat frame, you have to go to the carriers, which are only in the war zones. And I think to dock in the carrier with your headings up here at the top, up here, I think you want to be at 0. It's either 0 or 180, if I remember correctly. Excuse me. I really hope it's 0. I really hope that we don't explode when I jump into this guy here. So I'm going to put my velocity at 0 just in case I'm wrong. It might be 180. I really don't know which direction you dock into these things. We're going to find out the hard way. I haven't done this in a minute. We might... Yep, we're smashing into it. That's not good. Alright, let's back it out here. I'm surprised we didn't blow up. Why are we not backing out? Come on, back out. Back out. Alright, so we did that wrong. We gotta go 180, apparently. Yeah, look at that. I can't believe that didn't kill us. We smacked right in between the, giant engines on the back of the carrier. Alright, so apparently 180 was the answer, so let's kill the engines here. We'll flip this thing around, and we'll go into 180 degrees. Note to self, 180 is the heading to go into the... At least this carrier. I don't know, they could be facing different directions. Maybe you're supposed to look at your map here and discern which end is the ass and which end is the front. I guess, yeah, this end is a little more pointed and that end's a little more rounded, so I guess 180 would put us going downward south on our map here. I don't know if other ones are different. I haven't really gone to too many of them. So let's try 180 heading. Hopefully we should drift right into the butt of this thing. Yeah, alright, much better. See, just like with the space station, we floated right into the back of the carrier. So it's 180 to get into carrier. So you just float yourself all the way to the back of the carrier through the shield here, just like on a space station. And now that we're back here, we can kill the engines. You have to actually stop yourself. Space stations will automatically stop you. Carriers won't. So you have to automatically stop yourself in here. So now that we're in here and we're behind the shield area, just hit F3. And that'll bring you up here. So now you're docked. Notice the carrier pretty much only has weapons. They don't dick around with hard point stuff and cargo and whatnot. You can't pick up missions here. They'll give you military contracts here. These will boost your military rank, and they almost always involve actually fighting. Okay, so military frames. You have to enter the carrier just like we entered the space station. And in here, notice the only option is Shipyard. So you can't store anything in a carrier. But notice here, now that we are docked inside the carrier and we've entered the carrier, we get the same ship configuration window just like we had before. Except now, these are all the military frames. And I'm pretty sure every military carrier has access to all of the military frames. Most of mine are blacked out because I just simply don't have a high enough military rank. In order to actually fly these beastly higher ranked military craft, you have to actually increase your military rank. I do believe anybody can come to one of these things and get in the initial military craft, which is the Pulsar. I could be wrong about that, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I think any Joe Schmo noob, despite what your rank may be, can come here and get in the Pulsar, which is a great starting ship for combat. It is absolutely better than pretty much any civilian frame you'll have for the first part of the game. And then as you rank up, you go from like ensign to like rookie to lieutenant to first lieutenant and so forth. Every time you hit a new mil rank, you will unlock the next tier of the ship up to a certain point. I think once you hit like the 6th or 7th, 8th, somewhere around their military rank, it does just give you the entire list the rest of the way down, all the way up to the Chimera. And I think these are different for Federation. Like I think the Chimera is actually a Federation ship, and I think the Predator is the highest Alliance ship. But it doesn't matter. You can fly any ship from either side, either faction. Same with the civilian frames. The Leviathan's an Alliance frame, but you could just as easily get the Star Master as an Alliance player, which is a Federation ship, and vice versa. So anyways... the whole point here is that you do this exactly the same as I just showed you at the space station with the civilian frames. So let's say if you want the Shadow, It tells you down here what the base price of it's going to be, or the Wraith, ever so slightly more expensive. So the Wraith has slightly more agility and slightly more armor. So it seems like you would probably want to go with the Wraith, I guess, is the higher one. It's a well-rounded 8 hard points, moderate armor. This is what I was saying. They you can't adjust the configurations on these things. They come predefined the way they are. So just left-click, drag it, drop it in over here, and see we're swapped out now. Stop the spinning. So again, just like before, this is the left-hand column, the ship that you're trading in. You can flip here. It'll show you the ship configuration, the components on it. Here's all the stuff down here. You can adjust your paint color. Oh, never mind. Military regulations. You can't even paint those. So this is what I was saying. You can't like mess with the stuff on the military frames. They just don't let you. So there's not even a point to have a template or save your template. Oh, but you may want to see. I shouldn't have drugged that over here yet. I should have saved my current design first. That's what I was getting at before. I recommend that you come in here if you're going to pick up a military frame and you have your current ship in here before you drag it over like I just did. We could cancel and exit and come back in. But go into the templates and save your current design. So I should have saved my Leviathan design. See, I don't have one saved here for my Leviathan yet. Save your Leviathan design. That way you'll always have that ship exactly the way it was configured. You could remake it yourself, but it's just a lot faster to have the template saved. And again, it even saves your positionings and your scales. If you went through all your engine resistor plates, modules, wings, and all that stuff and made them, look cool and put the paint color on that you want it that way, it'll save all of that crap. So just go on the templates, save yourself a template, then drag your new ship over, configure your new ship if needed. Military frame you can't configure. And that's really about it. So you can see here our Leviathan was worth almost $6 million again. The new military Wraith that we want to buy is almost $5 million, so it's less. And look, we're going to get $892,000. So see, the principle still applies. You're getting the full value for your Leviathan or whatever ship you're trading in. You're getting the full value back. So there's no cost to do this. So I don't understand why you would store something in a hangar that pays money when you could just swap it out whenever you want, and you always get your money back. So we can do this, and we'll get the Wraith. It's probably gonna block me because I have stuff that won't fit on the Wraith because I didn't clear out my bays and stuff. Forgot. But basically, if we swap this out, we would then have the Wraith, and we could go anywhere, and we could do anything, and we could come back later to another space station because Leviathans aren't here in the Overwatch Warzone. If I wanted to get my Leviathan back, I'd have to go to a space station that sells a Leviathan, but I could hop back into the Shipyard, pull up my template for the Leviathan, select it, and it would be right here exactly like it was. It would still cost $5,765,000, and I would get the $4,873,000 for this Wraith back. So it would I would regain $892,000 right now to do this swap. And then if I came back later and did the exact swap in the reverse, I would pay $892,317. So you get the money back in the first swap, and then you sell the money off to do the swap back later. So technically, through both swaps, you paid nothing. You just shuffled money back and forth. You gained money in one situation and then lost it in another. Same difference. Your ending result, after you flew the Wraith for a while, assuming you didn't make any money and came back here and swapped it out again, you would still have the exact same $9,965,430. Did not cost you a penny to do this. And that's why I recommend doing it this way. You can do this at any space station. You can do this in any military carrier. You can do this to change within civilian frames. You can do this to change within military frames. You can do this to change from civilian to a military back to a civilian, space stations, hangars, carriers, whatever have you. No point to store a ship. There's just no point. I cannot find a reason. If there's a reason out there, I really want to know. Somebody please chime in and tell me, because I can't find a reason. This is so much more efficient. You can store the templates. Once you've done this a few times and stored your templates, you can come right in here and you can just be like, bam, template, select, okay, exit, trade and build. Boom. Like 5 seconds, leave station, and you're out. And you're back in your other ship. You can save configurations for a ship, a template for a ship that does racing, a template that does one for mining. You can have a template for your military frame, even though it doesn't have a configuration. You can have a template for your giant Leviathan, your Star Master, whatever have you. It looks like you can store at least 25 of these, which isn't a whole ton, but it's a good amount for your different roles that you would want to take on. you know, your civilian combat fighter, whatever you're doing. And when these fill up, you can just right-click on any of these. One little right-click will delete whatever row you're highlighting. So, I mean, you can swap out, like, obviously, late game, you're not going to want your Talon frame from the beginning of the game anymore. That's worthless. You'll delete that and replace it with some other late game configuration. And that's it, dude. You can literally just hit a station, select your template, trade and build, back out in the action. The only thing you may have to worry about is when you're swapping, like I said earlier in the video, you saw the error, if your bays don't line up. If you got too many cargo bays on the one you're trading out, or too many hard points, or too many secondary weapon points on the one you're trading out, that equipment has to move to the new ship. So you might have to clear your bays out before you do this. You can either sell the stuff in the station or the carrier, or hopefully if you're at a space station, you can put it into a hangar storage, the equipment, not the ship. Otherwise, if you're a carrier, there's no hangar storage here, so you wouldn't be able to do it. You'd have to sell it here. And I think if I do this, it's going to error. Oh, it did it. Wow. Okay, so it gave us the military stuff. Oh, because our stuff fit. Huh. See, look at that. It fit. I think, actually, you know what? I think I had another cargo bay that had an item in it. I'm not 100% sure. It may have sold it. Yeah, it did sell some stuff. Look up here. See our... Oh, no, that was the money that we got back from the trade. That was the 890-some thousand we got back from the trade, so never mind. I don't know if I had another item in the cargo bay or not. I may not have. I mean, you can see the military ship only has one cargo bay. That's why they're not the best to kind of take out into the normal galaxy and fly them around. They're great. I mean, you can certainly do that, and you can blow stuff up very efficiently and take on combat contracts out in the civilian area and, you know, help your alliance or federation take over territory and stuff. Just keep in mind you have no cargo bays, so you're only going to be able to pick up one item while you're out there, which can be kind of really annoying if you find something cool. But yeah, this ship had 8 equipment hardpoints where we only were using 7. So you can see all of our equipment from the original ship was automatically just stuffed right into the same slots on the new one. And this would have been a problem if this military frame had less than 7. It probably would have given us an error and told us that we couldn't make the swap. The cargo bay, same deal. I guess I only had one cargo bay full. I wasn't really paying attention at the beginning of the video. Primary weapons, you only ever have your 2 slots, so those always just flip over. And then secondary weapons, I think I had four secondary weapons on our Leviathan, or maybe even the 8, I can't remember. And then military frames, they always have the max 8. Well, most of them do, I think, anyways. So obviously that all fit in very easily. So that's it. See, so now we're in a military frame. We're in the Wraith. And we actually gained money. We gained money by switching our Leviathan for a Wraith. If you had gone to the hangar back at the space station and stored your Leviathan, it would have cost you almost $6 million to do that. And then you would have gotten another Leviathan, and you would have came here, and you would have swapped that Leviathan for this Wraith, and at that point you would have gotten $892,000 or whatever we did. So you would have still gained the money in this transaction, but you would have lost $6 million on the last transaction for just no damn reason. And then if you would have wanted to swap that out, you could have gone back to that space station and swapped your military frame for that one and so forth and whatever. But it's pointless. It's pointless. It costs $6 million to do that. Why would you do that? There's no benefit. I can't figure it out. I'm rambling again. So let's leave the station. And you can see here, look, we are now in our Wraith. We are now in a military frame. And it's all agile compared to my Leviathan. This is pretty cool. Wow, this thing hauls. Pretty neat. So let's just go ahead and take off out of here and see what that looks like. Pretty cool looking ship. So yeah, I mean, here we are. We're in our Wraith, taking off out of the carrier here. Remember, the carrier was 180 on the heading, 180 degrees on your tape measure. That takes you right into the, I guess that's the front of the carrier, back of the carrier. Looks dead, that's the front. Okay. So the front is the flat end on your map, apparently. This is the front. And then the curved is the back, apparently. So keep that in mind in case they face different directions in other war zones. But yeah, I mean, really, that's it. So now we would just take on contracts either at that carrier or back at the space station, and we would fly all around the Arvach war zone, and we would kick a bunch of ass and increase our military rank and say, okay, we're done. Let's say we've done that for a few days, we're bored. You know, we want to go back to mining or trading or doing combat in our civilian frame just so we have some cargo bays, whatever have you, right? So we're just going to blast right back into the ship, and we're going to swap back out. And this video is getting way too long. This is going to be like a half-hour video to explain 30 seconds of nothing. But yeah, I'm probably coming in way too hot here too. I hope we slow down in time. Wow, this ship is so nimble. I'm used to my crazy Leviathan that like feels like a semi-truck when you're trying to turn it. All right, so and I didn't save my config for my Leviathan because I'm fail. So we I guess we can't really just swap back to the Leviathan I had. Oh wait, they don't sell them here anyways. So yeah, I mean, I guess that would be the thing. You would have to go back to a space station that actually sold your Leviathan, in this case, since I had a Leviathan. So see, we're back in the carrier. So if I wanted to get my Leviathan back, I would have to jump all the way back to Sapphire. I know Sapphire pretty much carries Leviathans at any space station. So I would make my way back up to here. I would dock at a space station, and I would take this military frame. I would just fly this thing all the way over there. And when I got there, I would dock at the space station, F3, and I would enter space station because it wouldn't be a carrier. And then I would go into the shipyard, and over here you would find your civilian frames. So here, you know what, I should have jumped. Let's back out of here. I should have jumped to the space station instead of the carrier. Just haul out of here real quick. Man, these military craft, man, they're cool. They are fast. Those are nimble little ships, man. I used the Shadow for a long time, and it's a really good ship. I haven't tried out this Wraith yet. I must have unlocked it and didn't even know it. Alright, so let's hop over to the space station real quick. We'll just hit this heading here, 39, I believe. Yep. Even out, up, down. And there we go. Turn our velocity down a tiny bit. Alright, so we're going to hop right back over to a space station. We'll just pretend that this is the Sapphire, okay? If I wanted to get my Leviathan back. Excuse me. Alright, so we're docked at a regular space station. We enter station, shipyard, template. Assuming that I had actually saved my Leviathan, it would be right here, and I would just left-click it. So we'll drop back to my. That's a military frame. I don't even know why I stored templates for my military frames. That was stupid. So here we'll go to Typhoon. Bam. See? Here's my old ship back, and then I would just trade and build. This is going to give me an error because I'm downgrading and, you know, there's not enough equipment to fit everything. See, it's telling me we need to increase the capacity to fit my stuff. So in this case, I would have to sell off my stuff first and downgrade back to my Typhoon. The point is, I'm pretending this would be my Leviathan swap out. But notice right here, we're trading in the Wraith. So we're done with our military frame. We would be getting almost $5 million back for the Wraith, the exact cost that we paid for it. The Typhoon, again, is only $2 million, so we would regain $2,700,000 from this transaction. If this was the Leviathan, it would be a little more expensive than the Wraith, so we would end up paying that $890,000 or whatever it was that we got back initially when we went to the military frame. That's it, dude. That's all there is to it. This is how you switch ships. Go into the shipyard, build your new ship, trade and build. You get your money back, you pay the difference. There's just save your template so that you always have your ship to fall back to if you really want. And that's just all there is to it. That's the way to do it. Save the template, build the new ship, trade and build. Whether you're going military or whatever, man, this is the way to do it. Again, if there is a benefit to using the hangar to actually store a ship, I am completely unaware of it. Maybe somebody with more knowledge of the game can tell you. Otherwise, if anybody does know, and I'm an idiot, and there's like this huge advantage to doing the hangar bay and paying the $6 million or whatever the cost of your damn frame is, somebody chime in, let me know, leave a message in the comments. I would really like to know the benefit, because it seems like a completely worthless option as far as I've been able to tell. I never, ever use it. I initially thought I should use it. I struggled with this at the beginning of the game. I was like, man, I don't understand this option. I don't understand this whole hangar swapping thing. It's weird. And then I realized that I could just do this instead, and never thought about it again after that. Literally, it's been out of mind ever since I realized there was no point to use it anyways. So this is what I recommend, unless you hear otherwise and find a reason to actually use the hangar bay. So I hope you guys liked the video. Sorry there was so much rambling. I turned a 30-second tutorial into probably a 30-minute diatribe about nothing. So anyways, if you don't mind that fact, and you want me to make more videos and you like this stuff, please thumbs it up real quick. Log into your YouTube account, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. I'll try to put up more of this stuff. My graphics card kind of sucks. I'm sure this video is probably a little jerky. It's because my graphics card sucks, but we're working on getting a new one. So yeah. Anyways, hope you guys liked it. Take care. I'll see you guys around next time.